Hello everybody, we are back with another quant video. There's no quant update videos on YouTube ever because nobody wants to dive into it like I do. So here we are talking about the Quant and UST partnership. We're not talking about UST stablecoin crypto because that crashed. So don't go running to Twitter spewing some FUD on Quant because they partnered with UST. That's not how this is. This is UST Global. They are a technology infrastructure company. They're here to kind of middleman technology with enterprise and financial institutions, which I'm going to go into exactly what that means. And get this, I'm going to explain it in normal English that you can understand, that you might say in a normal conversation in the real world. So I'm going to make sure everybody can understand this. A kindergartner is going to understand this. A university student's going to understand this. And both of them are going to gain value out of this video. So stay tuned for that. And then at the end of this video, actually, we're going to be doing a Bitcoin and Quant little technical analysis so you can see where the market is at and whether or not you should buy. Saying that, nothing I say in this video is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. So let's get into this video. What is UST in the first place? UST, like I said, is a company that is designed to provide technical infrastructure, digital infrastructure for enterprises and financial institutions. So they're basically a middleman that facilitates the integration of technology into these enterprises and financial institutions. So in plain English, with an example, would be the perfect way I can put this, because this is very similar to what I talked about in two videos ago or a few videos ago. It was the partnership between Quant and SIA. And SIA does pretty well the same thing. They're a little bit different. Obviously, they have different motives, different goals. But SIA has all these banks under them. They have about 600 banks. I highly recommend you go check that video out right after this video, or even click away right now, come back after. I don't care. SIA is a company that's connected to all these banks and provides them with the new technology. So if a bank has outdated technology, or if an enterprise has outdated technology, SIA makes sure that that company can set up this new technology. Because the odds are the people who are working for that company don't know how to set up the technology or don't even know about the technology in general. So technology companies that have the next level of technology will go to these middlemen like SIA, like UST, provide them with the technology, and then with the user base that these companies already have, because SIA already has the banks, UST already has these enterprises and financial institutions under them. So what they can do then is adopt these technologies, understand them with their team of people who do understand the new technologies and are on top of that, then introduce them to all these other financial institutions or enterprises. So that's why this is so amazing for Quant, because there is not going to be just this technology that suddenly everybody knows about and everybody wants to use. You have to have influencers and influence in the space that are going to educate the people on why they need these things. Not everybody's going to look at one source. Like if Quant was just going out and running their own marketing campaigns and then we're trying to market to all these banks and institutions individually, it would take years, decades, centuries to market to all these people and fully make them understand. But when you partner with a company like UST, or you partner with a company like SIA, you have a bunch of trained individuals who already have a massive amount of influence in the space, who have many, many, many workers who are able to explain this and able to educate the space on it, that you are exponentially spreading the word, exponentially building education and adoption for your products. That's why it's so important that Quant is actively making these partnerships. And that's exactly what UST is. So we're going to go through this little article. I'm going to briefly explain kind of what this information is. I don't really, if you guys have watched my channel, I don't really like to just read articles and like let you decide what it means. Generally speaking, I read these articles beforehand and then I summarize, I conceptualize, and I give you the good news, the good information. Or not necessarily good news. I might give you bad news too, but I give you the compressed information of what matters. So I am going to read the article, but for the most part, I can explain everything to you without it. But I know there's a lot of people who do learn this way and they learn better. So that's why I'm going to go about it this way. So let's hop into here. So Quant and UST partner to accelerate the adoption of institutional digital assets across financial services. Quant, the blockchain for finance pioneer, has partnered with UST, a leading digital transformation solutions company, to provide technical integration and tokenization services to central and commercial banks and capital market participants. These services will help financial institutions adopt digital assets as they increasingly realize the benefits of distributed ledger technologies by issuing digital money and tokenizing existing assets classes for greater settlement speed and access to new markets and clients. So basically exactly what I said, but which I forgot to mention right off the hop, these two companies, Quant and UST, are aiming to educate the financial institutions on CBDCs, which is huge for the adoption of CBDC technology because, like I said, there's this information that's coming out into the markets and it's being marketed by thousands and thousands of workers. I know the workforce of UST is quite big. The actual valuation of UST itself is upwards of $1 billion. So this is no small fish. This is a very big deal. And you guys should take this very seriously. But ultimately, lots of education coming through these companies, and especially through SIA, especially through UST. And now we're seeing these companies targeting these financial institutions, trying to educate them on not only just the usefulness of DLTs and maybe using DLT technology to maybe organize, make escrow accounts, etc., all the different utilities that you can use these coins for, but also pushing for CBDCs. That's huge. Quant will provide the foundational technology, and UST will provide support through user interface design and integration via its sandbox based in their London Innovation Lab. The partnership facilitates the issuance of central bank digital currencies, digital money in the form of commercial stablecoins, and digital securities onto major distributed ledger networks. By working with two firms, financial institutions can shorten the life cycle of their blockchain projects to just a few weeks. So essentially what this is saying is, and I'm going to briefly, or it might give you a little bit more of a long-winded explanation of the usefulness of overledger, but ultimately Quant is helping to facilitate many things to these financial institutions via its overledger. And UST is helping to integrate these things using its sandbox. So essentially it has a, I don't know how to word this properly at the moment, but like a practice area where they can test this kind of stuff before it's released into the real world. So UST has access to this. Quant has access to great technology, including overledger, multi-ledger tokens, which we will discuss more in the future. I'll make a video completely dedicated to that so you guys can get a really good grasp on MLTs, because MLTs are huge and they're definitely going to be used in the financial system of the future via central banks and commercial banks. So that is why Quant is very, very powerful when it comes to MLTs. Anyways, overledger. Why do people want to use overledger? And I explained this in multiple videos, but I'm going to go over it again because it's very important and the word needs to be spread. So overledger. Overledger is a very powerful technology that allows developers and businesses to communicate with multiple blockchains using very few APIs and one language. All of the blockchains that are under Quant's overledger are able to be communicated with via their APIs and single language, to my understanding. And that is very powerful because when it comes to company adoption, you don't want to have to hire 1 million developers to be able to communicate with all of the blockchains that you need the utility of. Furthermore, when you are using overledger, you have access to all of these and interoperability between all of these blockchains. So say you need something from Ripple, you need something from Stellar, you need something from Solana, you need something from all these different blockchains. You can access that through overledger and intercommunicate between them, which is something that no other blockchain is capable of. The last point I'm going to make, and I do go more in depth, way more in depth in my last videos. I'm actually going to link them up in the top right corner right now if you want to go check those out. I highly recommend for your own personal well-being and education and perhaps your bags. I would check those videos out. To put this simply, overledger is a scalable solution for enterprises and financial institutions. So basically what I mean by this is one financial institution or enterprise needs a specific set of solutions. So if you were an enterprise or a financial institution who needed blockchain technology to fulfill whatever you needed fulfilled, you're going to go find that blockchain that can that will suffice, or that will give you what you need. eventually, as technology evolves, you are going to need to move on. You're going to need new solutions. And so maybe down the line, and I say this a lot, guys, I say this a lot. If you're consistently watching my videos, you know I say this a lot. We started with Bitcoin and the transfer of value with Bitcoin and being able to prove that you have X amount of value, you have X amount of Bitcoin, you have X amount of Ethereum, etc. Then the next step that we moved on to was smart contracts. And then we had this amazing technology that we could do these sophisticated transactions through smart contracts. It was the next level up. And now we're here. We're at level 2. And of course, there has been advancements. There has been layer 2 solutions. There has been all these other kinds of things that are happening. But that's just to speed up transaction times, etc. When we're talking about the next step, we're talking about level 3. We have value, smart contracts, X, whatever is next. There is going to be this thing. And if you think there's not going to be this thing, you are out of your mind. And so as this financial institution or this enterprise that has these solutions that they are gaining from blockchain, especially if you're storing data, it is going to be hard to move that data if you want to move to another blockchain, right? So going for a solution like overledger is the way to go, because using overledger, you can easily interoperate blockchain. So if you're on blockchain A and suddenly blockchain Z comes out, brand new technology, it's amazing, level 3, and this provides banks, institutions, enterprises, all of these things with this amazing technology that's going to support them so well, because we're in the infancy of blockchain. So it's going to be a very good addition. Now they have to move all their data in this situation from blockchain A to blockchain Z, which means a lot of labor, a lot of money, a lot of time, at which they might not have before their competition moves on. So how can they stay ahead of competition? How can they stay on top of the technology? Well, the answer is simple. It's through overledger, because overledger is simply a bunch of APIs built to communicate with all the compatible blockchains, which I am guaranteeing you Quant is going to stay on top of. Gilbert Verdian is trying to stay at the forefront of technology. And he has an amazing resume to back this fact. So that is basically the proposition for overledger, is it is a scalable solution for these companies. It is a scalable solution for financial institutions, for enterprises, etc., etc. As a financial institution, as an enterprise, I do not want to put all my eggs into one basket and go to this blockchain that's eventually going to become outdated, that I have no faith is going to move on with the next technology. I might, like as a financial institution or enterprise, I don't know if this blockchain that I'm investing into has the potential to be liquid, to be dynamic, to be able to upgrade with the next technology. I have no idea if it's going to be able to do that. But with overledger, you know for a fact that they're going to be able to communicate and interoperate with all of these other blockchains upcoming, because we have somebody so great like Gilbert Verdian who knows what's going on. He's been investing. He's been invested in the space. He's been invested in government. He's very much a big part of the financial world and has experience in there, especially in securities. So this is a very big player in the space. He's a very big player when it comes to companies, when it comes to solutions. Quant is very high on this chart. So that's why I think overledger is going to be very, very huge, and why UST wants to use them, because they know when working with enterprises, when working with financial institutions, this is going to be the most scalable solution. So why wouldn't they partner with Quant? Why wouldn't they use overledger? It's a ridiculous argument to have. And especially because overledger has so many patents, it has so many technologies that are going to be utilized in the future. And like I said, they have patents. They have patents for this technology. So we're going to move on to the next page. I'm not going to actually read through exactly what is going on in this page because it basically just covers everything we just did. I might go down and read sort of about Quant, just to give a little like what Gilbert Verdian says, Daniel Field, these two players. It also, there's a quote down here that I might go over as well. I think this is the same thing, so I'm actually just going to read this. Gilbert Verdian, founder and CEO of Quant, said UST had been at the forefront of blockchain services for almost a decade, and their customer focus is aligned with our approach. The partnership will ensure that financial institutions can create new business opportunities and innovate with the new DLT embedded products and services to tokenize existing asset classes. Of course, Gilbert Verdian, CEO of Quant. If you haven't seen his resume, you can go to, I think it's literally just gilbertverdian.com. Go check that out. Amazing resume. That's all I'm going to say about that because I've went over it a million times, but definitely go check that out. Daniel Field, global head of blockchain UST, said, we have partnered with Quant because of the flexibility and agility inherent to its technology, built with financial institutions in mind. Quant's overledger API gateway is a perfect foundation to bring the benefits of blockchain to a multitude of businesses in this sector. So exactly what I was saying, guys, they're highlighting Quant's overledger and why it is so important. And of course, I'm going to highlight in future videos because it is a complicated subject. But along with this, Quant also, through overledger, offers MLTs, multi-ledger tokens, which are absolutely huge. I really want to cover this in a future video. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. I'm going to be making a lot of videos in the future. So subscribe, stay around, do what you got to do. But definitely check that out in the near future. There's going to be a video on that. UST Partners. So obviously, when we're looking at businesses, it's always good to look at their partners and their valuation. Of course, I already told you, UST has a upwards of $1 billion valuation at the current date. As far as I am concerned, if I'm wrong, let me know down below. But I'm pretty sure this is the current valuation. UST Partners, pretty big. This is a pretty big actor in the space. We have Amazon, Microsoft, Google Cloud, Oracle, all names you're probably familiar with. And then featured partners, they're also working with Adobe, Intel, all these guys here. If you're familiar with these, very good. There's some unfamiliar faces I haven't honestly seen, but lots and lots of partners, lots of big names. So that shouldn't speak volumes about the business itself. That shouldn't be your deciding factor whether you think a business is good, because I know there's a lot of people who will come up, they'll highlight the partners, they'll be like, oh, like if Amazon is partnered with them, then they must be good. That's not always the case. Sometimes they have such loose connections with these people, they can just put them on here without any argument. And that's just the truth. So when I'm going over the details of these companies and what they do, that's something I would keep in mind more. But the partners are still very relevant. Still very relevant. They still are partners with Amazon. They still are partners with Microsoft, Oracle, etc., etc. But yeah, it's not something to be a deciding factor, but it's definitely an aspect, something that we should be paying attention to. So yeah, guys, that's what I want to highlight with the new latest Quant news. That is very important for Quant. Quant is moving. They're making these connections, and they're spreading the word not only for Quant technology, overledger, but also CBDCs, and they're acting on the forefront of CBDCs. When banks finally decide we are going to fully adopt CBDCs, well, who's the forefront? Who's the players in the space? Oh, Quant. I heard about Quant. Bank X, they worked with Quant already. They know that Quant is very big in the CBDC space. So who's going to be leading the future? It is going to be Quant when it comes to CBDCs. And there might be some people who are in here who are thinking, oh, no, when it comes to CBDCs, it's going to be XLM, it's going to be XRP. You have to understand, guys, Quant is they're not going to be using Quant as that intermediary cryptocurrency that's going to be covering all these transactions. Quant is merely the payment method for the services that the Quant company is offering, such as overledger, MLTs, etc. Quant and overledgers may use XLM, XRP, may communicate with them, and has the ability already to communicate with both of those coins using overledger. So Quant is going to be a big player, I believe. I believe so are XRP, XLM, and I'm going to be making many videos on them as well in the future. So if you guys are interested in that, check me out. Hit that subscribe button. But here we go. We're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin in the charts. We're going to be taking a look at Quant. Of course, guys, this is how I do my technical analysis. If you don't like it, you don't like it. Bitcoin is the leader when it comes to crypto price action. If Bitcoin goes up, more of the time, statistically, the odds are in favor of everything else going up. There might be an outlier in the space that goes down. Oh well, the odds are in the favor of everything else going up, and this is a game of odds. I like to play my odds very, very, very statistically and mathematically, and I like to take the most logical approach. And the most logical approach for me is to look at Bitcoin, and I suggest you guys do too. If you take a look at the order book right here, we can see up at 15,000 or down to 15,000, all the way up to about 15,423. The order book has moved a little bit from when I've last checked it, but ultimately we are very close to the levels that I've marked up here. So we kind of have a soft support right here at 15,757 down to about 15,445 around that area. And a very strong support down here at 14.99 or 15. Very strong support down at 15. So this is where I'd be looking to find that ultimate support. I definitely have buy orders myself down here. Yeah, Bitcoin is really moving the market, so we really have to pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing, guys. When we come down to 15, we will see, and this is how I trade, we will see other coins drop, and they will drop to their support levels, okay? These coins won't drop down exactly the percentage that Bitcoin drops, but you can be sure if Bitcoin drops, what is this? If it drops down to 15 here, we're moving down 8%, about 8%. If we move down 8%, we're not going to see every coin move down 8%. We're going to see coins drop to their percentage that makes sense for them. Maybe they have a really strong support at 5%, 4%. That's what we have to be watching. So we watch the big mover in the space like Bitcoin. We say, okay, at 8%, that's about where we're going to find a very strong support. If they drop down there, we can be sure that we're going to have a strong move to the stronger supports in the other coins. So when we're looking at Quant, we got to keep that in mind. Now, we also have kind of like we have a mid level of resistance up here. And honestly, guys, I'm thinking we are probably going to push up into this region for a little bit and then maybe drop down to our soft support here and down the road, drop down to 14.93 area. Something like, if I can find my paintbrush, there it is. We're going to see something more or less like this. Maybe come here. And then from there, we'll find support and hopefully get bought back up. That is roughly what we are looking at in the future. This is kind of the strat I am going to be trading. As you guys can see on the RSI, we are looking pretty undervalued and have been here for quite some time. We are also in bullish divergence when you look at the RSI. So if we bring this up, you guys can see our RSI slowly gaining value over time. And if you take a look right here, we are actually lowering on the price action like so. So we are looking to actually make a upward movement into some higher overpriced action in the RSI, which inevitably means we're going to be seeing some bullish action in the price action happening. And then, of course, we have our 50 EMA coming down here that is going to act as resistance. So we're going to see what happens there. But ultimately, we're looking for an upwards move up to perhaps the 50 EMA, which should bring our RSI quite high back into the overvalued area where we can then drop back down and see a little bit more bearish action. And guys, I don't want to just shill this and say we're going to the moon all the time. This is like the serious side of trading. You have to be ready to short. You can't long all the time, right? So we're looking to maybe do a long, maybe have a short close or relatively close to our 50 EMA, short back down. That is what I'm looking at with Bitcoin. And now we're going to move on to Quant. So Quant, we're looking pretty messy right now. But ultimately, we are sitting on top of support. We got our Fibonacci support, which is really huge. And I forgot to mention, actually, if we go back to our 1 hour chart on the daily, we can see very clearly taking these Fibonacci levels here up at 18,202 all the way down to about 15,630. And we can see our Fibonacci level right here lines up almost perfectly with the bottom resistance of our Bitcoin order book resistance. So we clearly saw it in the order book. I marked this up with the order book. Then I went ahead and I drew this Fibonacci, and it was confirmation for me that we are actually having a lot of resistance up at this point. So really watching this level right here, 16,497, 16,514 is where I'm looking at for a resistance level that I may maybe do a little scalp, because we could see it push through. That's what we're hoping for. We have seen a lot of buy pressure relative to sell pressure. So yeah, that's basically what I'm looking for. I'm looking to maybe get contested by this fib level, get contested by this bottom order book sell pressure, and then push through, maybe make some highs here, and then drop back down to our support. And obviously, there's a lot of things that could interfere with this, like the news, etc. Keep your eye on the news. I'm going to keep you updated as much as I can. But yeah, this is basically what we're looking at from a technical analysis perspective, excluding things like Elliott Wave, which I'm not currently using. So moving on, we're going to go take a look at the quant chart. Of course, we have this bullish looking wedge, what some might consider a bullish looking wedge, as well as a little bit of bearish action here. We have the 50 EMA crossing below the 200 EMA, which isn't great, but we are contesting that currently. Of course, the Bitcoin chart is looking bullish for the most part with our RSI levels, as well as our fib levels, etc., etc. So we are looking bullish. We're also at the bottom of this wedge. And yeah, this is a bullish wedge, considered a bullish wedge. So we are looking to push past this. If we can get this 50 EMA, this is of course on the hour chart. We'll have to take a look at the day chart just after this. If we can get this to cross back up, we're looking bullish and are obviously going to make our way to the top of this wedge, which would be absolutely amazing. We're looking at roughly 8.2% gains, which is amazing. If you're talking to somebody who's invested in the stock world, 8.2% gains is amazing, especially when we're talking about within a few days of reading a chart. That's amazing gains. So looking to push past, if Bitcoin decides to dump for whatever reason, we are looking to go down. So keep an eye on Bitcoin. That's very, very salient. Otherwise, keep a look at this 50 EMA and the 200 EMA. If we start to see this cross up, we're looking really good. Obviously, we crossed below. We're seeing this wick. We're seeing this wick action. We get shot down. We have a lot of resistance. Obviously, not a very bullish candle. But this is the short term, guys. This is 1 hour. So if we go take a look at the day chart, a completely different story. We're sitting on top of this Fibonacci, this sort of more macro Fibonacci from 226 to 41. Pretty big price difference. So we're sitting right on top of the Fibonacci here, as well as on the bottom of our wedge here. So we're definitely looking to shoot back up to the top and hopefully find some support on top of this wedge at 124, which, like I said, guys, is looking like 9%, 10%. We're looking around that area. Amazing gains. I would probably, from here, I'm probably going to do a little setup, maybe back at the bottom of this wedge, look for a buy area, and then sell right on that 200 EMA, which is still 9.26% gains. Looking amazing, and I wouldn't be surprised if we shot right up to this 0.5, but I don't want to speculate too far ahead here. Pay attention to the Bitcoin chart, guys. I cannot say it enough. This is a very, very huge deal for me. I always trade the Bitcoin chart when I'm trading any altcoin, because I play the odds. That's what this game is all about. You can never be 100% certain. Otherwise, there would be somebody who's infinitely rich. You just have to play the odds as best as you can. You're going to lose sometimes, even in the odds are in your favor. But if you can play the odds right, you're going to win. Win, 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 back to back. Pay attention to the Bitcoin chart. That's where the majority of the coins go. Then move from there. So we're looking bullish on the Bitcoin chart. We're looking bullish on the quant chart. Where do we think it's going to go? Bullish. So I'm looking for the next point of resistance where I can decide to sell. I'm looking for the next point of support where I can buy. Where's the support? It's looking around 109, maybe 108. And of course, in the bear case, if we look at Bitcoin again, bear case, we drop straight back down to 14,981, and we look for an even lower support on the quant chart, because if Bitcoin dips that much, we're obviously looking to dip furthermore with quant. And so we'd have to find our next kind of support, which is looking at about $90, is a clear support for me. If you take a look right here, very clear support. And obviously we're going to have little supports here and here. But if we do decide to dip that much right off the bat, I'd be looking for a lower support, just like 90 right there. All right, guys. So that is basically going to conclude this video for today. If you enjoyed today's video, if you like the news, I'm going to be keeping you guys up to date all the time. If you guys want to be involved in a little giveaway, I'm actually doing $100 in XLM. I'm giving that away once we reach 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to enter, subscribe, put a comment down below. That's it. You're in. And I will see you at 1,000 subs. All right, guys. Talk to you later.